Chapter 25 Stranglehold. On Monday morning, Charde intended to walk ahead of Femi as they set off for school. The yellow jacket lady would see him across the main road outside his school. Femi had said nothing to her at breakfast, avoiding even looking at her, but a quick glimpse into his eyes as he opened the wooden gate onto the pavement revealed such deep wells of misery that she immediately felt sorry for him. It was pointless asking him what was wrong. She slowed her pace to his. They were approaching Femi's school when Charde thought she heard "Charde, Ade!" shouted above the rumble of traffic. Femi must have heard something too, because he swung around swiftly towards the road. Charde kept her head down against the wind. She made a point of not looking up into the throng of Avon students on the platform of the passing bus. "Are they your friends?" Femi broke his silence as the bus disappeared around a bend. Charde pulled a face. He looked as if he might ask her something else, but then the barriers slid down as abruptly as they had lifted. Charde stood for a minute watching Femi tag behind a flock of children entering the playground. Inside, children stood chattering while others scurried around yelling and chasing. Some boys and a girl were kicking a football. They dashed across the middle of the tarmac, occasionally hurtling between the others. Femi appeared not to take any notice. With his rucksack humped, tortoise-like on his back, he paced slowly around the edge. The other children could have been trees or outcrops of rocks from the way that he skirted around them without even a glance. None of them seemed to notice him either. Was this really her football-crazy brother who had so often boasted to his friend Cole that one day he would play for Nigeria in the World Cup? The same little boy who pleaded with Papa to put more powerful light in the backyard so that he could practice after dusk? Charde was still on the opposite side of the road from Avon High when Marcia and Donna stepped out from behind her. "There's something we want to show you," declared Donna, once again linking her arm into Charde's. "Yeah, it's important," Marcia sidled up on her other side. "I don't want to see anything, excuse me," Charde said tensely, making her limbs rigid as she felt herself being turned around. An elderly man shuffled past with a group of older Avon students and who were approaching them. Surely these two girls couldn't force her to go with them in full view of everyone. "Excuse me," Donna's voice tinkled with laughter as if Charde had just told a great joke. "Look here, we were only going to do you a favour, show you something, help you pass the test." Marcia was matter of fact as she twirled one of her slim braids between her fingers. "I told you she wouldn't know about the test," Donna bantered. "Even if you don't come with us, you'll still have to do it, you know." The Avon students had passed them by, absorbed in conversation, taking no notice of Marcia, Donna and Charde. "Test," Charde mumbled. "What test?" "Right, Marcy, let's show her. Top speed. We don't want to be late for Morrissey, do we?" "Charde-a-day," Donna giggled. Charde was propelled around and found herself being marched so rapidly that they were practically jogging down the road. She was being towed between the two girls, almost like a rag doll. They stopped at the first junction. "See down there," said Marcia, pointing with her chin. She was about half a head taller than Charde, so that her chin was in line with Charde's eyes. "See that corner shop?" Marcia indicated a small shop with a blue sign over the door at the far end of the block. "That belongs to your friend's uncle." "You know, your friend from Africa. What's her name? The one you go round with?" Marcia put her hand on her hip, as if explaining anything to Charde was a chore. "You tell her, Donna, what she's got to do." "Well, there's a really nice turquoise lighter in there." Donna lowered her voice. "Marcia fancies it, you know. Do you know what a lighter is, don't you? For ciggies, right?" Charde stared at a crushed plastic bottle lying in a little stream of dirty gutter water. She remained silent. "Yeah, I want the turquoise one. You can get it for me." "I don't have any money to buy it," Charde said bluntly. The force in her voice surprised her. "That's your problem, not mine." Marcia tapped her foot impatiently. "If you don't get it for me, there'll be trouble. And not just for you, you know." "Excuse me," Charde confronted Marcia's gaze. For a fleeting second, Marcia's eyes wavered before resettling on her prey. "That was your brother, right, outside the kiddie school, yeah?" A spasm shot through Charde's stomach. "We shouted to you from the bus, but you ignored us. You shouldn't have done that." Donna poked her face in front of Charde and fluttered her long black eyelashes. "Marcia's cousin goes to that school, right, Marcy?" "Yeah, he's taller than me, and he does anything I say. I bet your kid brother needs looking after too, you know what I mean?" Charde knew what she meant. Her eyes returned to the broken plastic bottle and bent straw bobbing inside it in the guttering. The wind was making the water shiver slightly. She listened as Donna explained how they would be waiting at the same corner at exactly 4 o'clock for Charde to bring Marcia the little turquoise lighter. In case you think of trying something funny, just remember your little brother, right? Charde squirmed as Donna put her arm over her shoulder, bringing her face close up to Charde's. Marcy's my best friend, but even I wouldn't like to cross her. It was a confidential tone. Oh, come on, Donna, moaned Marcia. Stop wasting time. You'll get us detention from Morrissey. They let go of Charde's arms and set off ahead of her. Charde was only vaguely aware of a car hooting at her as she crossed the entrance to a petrol station. What struck her more was how Marcia and Donna both turned around, startled. But then they burst out laughing. They came and placed themselves one on each side of her. You've got to watch out for yourself, you know, Donna cooed. You better let Marcy and me look after you. Mariam must have seen Charde being escorted across the main road. She approached Charde as they were trooping up the stairs. What do they want? She whispered. It's nothing, Charde shrugged. Mariam didn't press further. All morning Charde's mind throbbed with questions. Mr. Morris asked her if she wasn't feeling very well, and Charde had to say that she was fine. The maths teacher gave her a short lecture about daydreamers when she caught Charde staring out of the window. Charde tried to concentrate on solving the algebra problem on the board, but her mind soon wandered again. It was all very well Papa saying, we have to stand up to bullies, expose them for what they are, and if you allow bullies a stranglehold, they'll have you by the throat. But what could you do when they had you already by the throat? Shout for help from the teachers? But would they believe her? Why had no one else told them Marcia? If she reported Marcia's threat to Mr. Morris, wasn't it even more likely that Femi would get hurt? Marcia could use her cousin to get revenge. They might even do something out of school. It wouldn't be hard for Marcia to find out where they lived. At lunchtime, Charde went with Mariam to the library. It was warm inside and the librarian was friendly. Marcia and her gang were unlikely to come inside because the students were not allowed to make a lot of noise there. Charde followed Mariam to a table tucked between some shelves, each taking a book from a wire stand. Charde chose one with a cover that had a face looking into a cracked mirror in which there was a cracked face. Girl or boy? She wasn't sure, but terror was written all over that face. Mariam's book showed a dark-haired girl in a headscarf looking towards distant mountains. Last week, Charde had seen Mariam spending most of her time in the library studying the cover of the same book. Perhaps the picture allowed her to dream. Today, Charde took the chance to ask Mariam about her family. She knew she was asking for the wrong reasons, but the minutes were ticking towards 4 o'clock, and she needed to find out about Mariam's uncle and his shop. What Mariam told her left her feeling quite numb.